when you say, your book is an unabashed celebration of life and living. Indeed, contrary to other rock artists who publish autobiographies, I know the one from Lemmy and also the guy from Bill Burford, he was mentioned but does not insist on the negativities of rock business. It could be read as a wannabe rockstar guidebook. What is the purpose you wanted to achieve? Well, basically this book was written, as I said, it was written for the fans, because without the fans I would have never become successful. Because those people until this day keep me alive. They still buy the records, now I hope they buy the book, and I wanted to give them a good attitude towards life. There's no point in life, you know, to be miserable and pessimistic the whole time, because as you know, there's also good things in life, you know, and you become mostly what you think. And if you think the whole time pessimistic, you will become pessimistic. But if you think the whole day optimistic, you will attract optimistic things. You know?
It's such a great thing in your book is that you mention the bad thing and everything, but you always have this optimistic point of view, which is maybe it's your personality also. I imagine that you're kind of maybe an optimistic person also.
As you know, the album I did, my own album, is called Take It As It Comes.
Yeah.
And this is my life philosophy. There is nothing you can do about it. If you tomorrow, even something really bad happens tomorrow, where you live, for example, in Grenoble, maybe tomorrow the atomic reactor is going to explode and kill half the population, then I still think, well, this is something you could not know. You maybe can prevent it, but you don't know what will happen tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow some people in China decide, you know, to send an atomic bomb. There's nothing you can do about it. Or maybe tomorrow Sarkozy decides to get involved in another war. And he decides to put all the young people into the army. All those things, I think, you have to stand above, you know, because the most important thing is that you enjoy life. And you make the best out of it. And this is the message I would like to put over in my book.
And is this a point of view that you have acquired over the years, or would you say that you have always been following?
I saw this in life all over the years, and of course I had my ups and downs, you know. When I left the band after being with them for 20 years, I thought also what you're going to do now and how is it going to go, and then I realized that Scorpions is not the most important thing in my life. The most important thing in your life is that you're in your inside satisfied with yourself. This is the most important, and this is hard to achieve because this cannot be paid with money. Happiness has nothing to do with money. You have to be happy inside, and you have to do something in life what you like, where you have fun with. If you do something which you have no fun with, you're going to become unhappy. And this is the thing I wanted, the purpose I wanted to achieve, to tell people this. Of course I found this out in the long life, and as you know, I'm now going to be 62 years on the 18th of November. And in 62 years you learn a lot. And as you also know, the Scorpions now have decided to do a farewell tour and say goodbye to all the fans. To answer your question which you wrote, I'm not very happy that they make an album and re-record all the old songs again, you know. This is not a good way to say goodbye to the fans.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Well, even I don't know yet what will be in the album. Maybe, you know, we thought at first time it would be, you know, covers from 60s or something like that. But yeah, apparently these are old re-recorded songs, which is...
No, it's all songs who've been recorded.
Yeah.
It makes me really sad. I said that to the others. Where's the point to re-record Rock You Like a Hurricane, No One Like You, Blackout, and all those songs? I think they were great as they are.
Yeah.
And I think this is only a matter of money, because they have an offer from Walmart, you know, to re-release their old songs again.
Oh, okay.
So now they're going to re-record them again. But I think it's a poor statement to the fans to do such a thing, because when you leave the fans and say, this is my last tour, this is my last album, then you have to give them a killer album to end the career, or not something weak like this where you go and re-record your old songs again.
Yeah.
Which everybody knows. And everybody also thinks, why do they record Rock You Like a Hurricane again? I have the original version, and the original version is great.
Yeah, I mean,
so why go and do this again? Well, because of money.
yeah.
Anyway, on the third question, you say to me your book starts with the story of the 1989 Russian trip. Would you say this was the most remarkable part of your career with the Scorpions? No, it wasn't, but I think it was the most famous part. Wind of Change was the most famous song in the world, and I think that Russia was, when we came there in 88 for the first time, it was still communistic, so it was quite remarkable for me coming from the West, also coming from a country where there was a big wall in the middle of Berlin. It was something unusual, and I thought, when I go there, I hope I don't end up being arrested and spend the rest of my life in a jail in Siberia. You know, this were my thoughts when I was sitting in the plane. I was thinking, oh, what the fuck is doing here, you know? Maybe you get arrested when you land now. And fact was also, when the year later, when we did the Moscow Music Peace Festival, we were taken to the first hard rock cafe in Russia, in Moscow, and I think for the first time there's people eating hamburgers, and there in the Gorky Park the Wind of Change happened, and Klaus wrote that song there because being inspired by it. And a few months later, in the end of November, we got invited by President Gorbachev.
Yeah, apparently this event seems as a very important part of the career.
I remember talking to this man, and he said to me, what was the biggest mistake the United States did? And I said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, when they let the Beatles in 1964.
Yeah.
And then the whole country became rock and roll. And he said, my biggest mistake was that I let the Scorpions in to come into Russia. Since that day, everything changed drastically. Now, maybe this was a joke, but I know when we played the Moscow Music Peace Festival, I saw many people in that stadium throwing their heads up in the air, especially the soldiers. Imagine, there's 400 soldiers there for security, and they go crazy when they hear the music and throw their heads in the air. So you could really feel that the end of the communistic days were there.
Yeah, and also maybe that music can be a catharsis and for
music
that.
was a big language thing. Even the people did not speak English there. They felt what we wanted to say. So that you could feel the revolution in the air. You could feel that there's a big change coming. And as you know, on the 9th of November in 1889, the wall in Berlin was falling down.
Yeah.
So and I think the Scorpions were responsible for that also. I really believe that.
Okay.
The fourth question, more than a factual history of the Scorpions, you prefer to share with us your feelings about this history. Would you say that this years in the band, with a lot of ups and some downs, helped you to grow as an artist as well as a man? Yes, definitely, to start there. And of course it helps you with all the ups and downs and the feelings, and also in the band. I think I had the luck to have the golden years, because I was in the band from 1977 until 1996 on the 18th of May.
Yeah.
And as you know, those were the golden years, those were the big albums, those were the albums with Still Loving You on, this was the album with Rocking Like a Hurricane on, there was the Blackout album, the Animal Magnetism album, also the album with Wind of Change on it, The Crazy World. So in my opinion, I had the best years with the Scorpions, because in my opinion, everything that came after was not the Scorpions anymore. But this is my opinion. Maybe the fans think different about this. But I think the main thing were those golden years where the band had the most creativity and had the most to say to the fans.
Well, I mean, the facts speak for themselves. As the recent album, which have had more success, as the ones which look the most like the ones you did with the band in the 80s. So.
Well, that was me saying to Rudolf and Klaus. I said you cannot make albums like Poor Instinct and also the other one which was really bad, Eye to Eye. And when they did Unbreakable, it changed a little bit. At least it went into the right direction. And the last album I like again because it is a typical Scorpions album.
Yeah.
You know? And if he say to me, if I had never joined the Scorpions, do you think you would have become the same man you are today? Yes, I would have become the same man, because my philosophy was always love and peace, because I'm an old hippie, so to speak. So I maybe would have done musically different things, but it would have been always heavy rock. because my favorite band was always Led Zeppelin. I always wanted to do something like this. So when I first met Rudolf in the Speakeasy, I said to him, look, I would like to do the same thing what Led Zeppelin did, that kind of direction, because I think they're a great band and we should go in that direction. And Rudolf said to me, well, my favorite band is also Led Zeppelin, so we had something in common.
Yeah, which also differentiated from the way Uli wanted to go, right?
Well, Uli had a different influence. Uli was very much influenced by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go that direction. Uli is a fantastic player. When I joined in 1977 and we did the first album together called Taken by Force, I could already feel that Uli wanted to leave. When you listen to the lyrics of a song called I Wanna Be Free, you can hear clearly that Uli had no intention to stay with the Scorpions any longer. He wanted to do a three-piece band. He wanted to go the direction of Hendrix, and he wanted to play that direction. And when I saw the Scorpions the first time, I saw this, of course. I saw two directions. I saw on one side Klaus and Rudolf, doing a kind of melodic hard rock like Uriah Heep and bands like this at the time, and then I saw Uli John Ross doing totally the opposite, Hendrix and that kind of stuff.
But
I knew there were two directions, and when Rudolf asked me when we met, he said, what do you think of the band? I said, well, you have to make up your mind which direction you want to go, because at the moment you have two directions in the band.
Yeah.
You have melodic hard rock and you have a guy who plays like Jimi Hendrix, so you have to make up your mind. And when Uli left, Rudolf was really sad. He said, oh, what we're going to do now, we have no guitar player. And as you know, Michael Schenker joined the band only for a little while when we did the Love Drive album.
Yeah, after he left UFO, right? Yeah.
But not very long, then he went back again to UFO, and then he made his own thing, MSG. So then we found Matthias in Hanover, and Matthias was the only one at the time who was able to play what Uli created before, and also Michael, so he was the perfect choice.
Yeah.
And as you know, until this day, he fits perfectly in the band.
And but I mean, in the 70s, was Uli clear about his decision? Because I mean, in the song "I've Got to Be Free,"
totally clear.
Yeah.
Both me and Rudolf and Klaus in Japan, after this tour is now done, I would like to leave. And we did a live album, Tokyo Tapes there, but he made up his mind not to do the next album with us. In his opinion, we became too much commercial. He didn't like that direction. In fact, we had a hit out in Japan called He's a Woman, She's a Man.
Yeah, and he didn't like,
He used to play the lead guitar solo on a TV show. You know, because it was under his status, so he said to me.
Yeah.
So he made up his mind to do, and I was happy when he left. I said to Rudolf, don't be sad, now we can go one direction. Now we can become a band. But Rudolf, at those days, he thought the Scorpions were over and we never going to find a replacement. No. Anyway, question number 5, when talking about the celebrity status, you say you are hardly one who wishes to trumpet his own accomplishments. However, in 200 years from now, what would you like people to remember from Herman the German? Well, first of all, his philosophies that this world can only exist if we don't put more hate in it, if we put more love in it, because the hate so far and the greed has destroyed this planet drastically, as you know. When you look at it, what we have done in the last 200 years to our planet, then you wonder how long this is going to last.
Yeah, right.
And also when you see what greed has done to this planet, we are now at the biggest financial crisis of all time since this planet existed.
Yeah.
And this was done only by a few people, by a few bankers who are very greedy, who made deals, you know, on their little screens, you know, which nobody could follow. And suddenly they move 100 million in 5 seconds from behind the zero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like we feel like we can control the world we live in, and which is kind of worrying, yes.
Yeah, it worries the normal people, but there's a few people who play with milliards and milliards of euros every day, and they can destroy this planet very, very fast, you know. And also when you look at the